Live. What happened to you? What's happened to you? I know we're live. Something popped up on my screen and I couldn't see it. Good evening, folks. Thanks for coming out. You're all very well. I hope you're enjoying the sunshine. Just before we start, I apologise for my attire tonight. I had a wee bit too much sun today. We're up at Loch Lomond, so I'm a wee bit red on the back and thought, well, I was advised to wear a vest top rather than a t-shirt, so that's that's what it is. So tonight we are welcoming we have back, it's easier to say, welcoming back CRA Hollywood actor, stuntman, martial arts. I'm on fire. I think it's too much sun.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
I'm getting there. Thanks for the encouragement. Mr John Ozuna.
Good to see you, everybody. Hello. It's an honor to be back, and it's. I know it's been some time since we've seen one another, but I'm happy that you have a little bit of the California sun all the way over there. It was, if we can do anything for you, we'll throw some California sun your way. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
It's meant to be like this. I was looking at the weather app. It's meant to be like this through the weather app gives you 10 days ahead, so the 10 days are all sunshine. So hopefully I won't look like a strawberry by the weekend. I'll be a bit brown.
I like strawberries. That's okay.
So I'm a big fan of strawberries. I do like the odd one. It's very, very rare I'll have a strawberry, but even though I look like it. But the thing is, it was pointed out me earlier on. See the trouble wearing glasses. You get the suntan line.
Exactly.
White line. And you do about it, because if I take them off, I can't see nothing, so I have to keep them. On basically. So what was I saying? Aye. So tonight John's been in many films, including Venom, Demon Fighter, The Matrix, etc. He's appeared with many big names. We had John on a couple of months ago, I think it was, and we were talking about Hollywood and the film industry and etc. But tonight we are going to be talking about the paranormal.
Yeah,
John has a bit of an interest in the paranormal, and so that's what we're going to be talking about. So, John, thanks for coming back, buddy. It's good to see you. You're looking well. You're looking nice, all tanned and stuff with the sun.
It's great to be back. No, believe me, it's great to be back. And I love the subject of the paranormal because, folks like yourself who pursue this phenomena, I really commend you because, it's, for us to think that life is just what we see and what we hear and what we feel that's just the surface. There's so much more of that lays beyond that and deeper. And to be a paranormal investigator is the study of the unknown, something that's there, but that's not tangible. You can't really touch it, but it's there. It exists, and it's always been an interest of mine. So I hats off to you and everybody else that does this.
Oh, thank you very much. It's so what kind of got you interested? What kind of press that button paranormal wise? Mm-hmm. When did you start kind of being fascinated with it?
It's always ever since I was a child, because as you're a child, you have a perspective of things. You view life in kind of a slightly different way. As you become older and as you become an adult, there seems to be more rules and you put kind of a paradigm around yourself, and so you don't think as freely as when you're a child. And so when I was a child, there were certain things that I experienced that I couldn't explain at all, but you feel something, and the fact that we're human beings, We are no different than any other animal that can sense a presence. You know, we have these very primal instincts that allow us to sense when something that we're not alone, something's not right. We sense danger before it appears. So we have an intuition and an instinct within us that sometimes that we kind of ignore it. And again, as we get older, we get busier and caught up in other things. But when you're a child, it's a little bit more present. So ever since I was a child, I've had an interest in things that were not easily explained.
It's always fascinated me, but I'm glad you said about the when you're a child, you know, there's the whole scenario, the imaginary friend, you know, we've heard it, and I can't mind if I had an imaginary friend when I was young. But as you say, you know, children, they've not been exposed to the world yet. You know, their mind's not been influenced, so their mind's still innocent. And so they might be seeing somebody sitting at the end of their bed and what have you, and, you know, to them that's a, you know, or they've got a new friend, they'll talk away, whereas when they're a bit older, they'll hear people saying, oh, you know, paranormal, it's a load of rubbish, so they start thinking, oh, well, maybe it is rubbish, and they kind of shut off to it. You know, so that door gets kind of closed, you know. But I mean, I'm no psychic, I'm no medium or anything like that, you know. But I do have times where you feel it happened. It's happened a few times. One night in particular, we were at a kirkyard, a graveyard, and we were standing in this burial plot. It's fenced off, this particular section, and I was standing at the back corner, and I had this strong feeling that there was a man standing right beside me, watching me. And
exactly,
you know, I expected to turn around and just see him standing there to say hello to him.
Yeah.
Obviously, there was nothing there physically, but you could tell. You know, I say to the other people, there's a guy standing beside me. I know that. Said, I can feel him standing just right there, you know. And people might say we're nuts. You know, that everybody's entitled to their own kind of opinion on the, you know, on the but I think you need to experience something yourself. You know,
you're absolutely right. Yeah, I think I want to say everybody in their life at one point in time has experienced something that would be categorized as a paranormal and or supernatural and or something that's not easily explained. And just about everybody that has ever lived a period of their life can say, yeah, I've experienced something, but I dismissed it. Oh, it was this. Oh, it was that. It must have been this, or it must have been that. Well, I mean, you could only dismiss so many things, and after a while, you come across an experience where you just can't explain it. And you know, it's when the hairs on the back of your neck stand up and you get the goosebumps. It's no different than having a pet. So if we have a pet dog or a pet cat, they alert us to something that's not quite right. You know, like they hear noise or danger. We don't hear it, we don't see it, but they do. And we dismiss it sometimes. No, just settle down. And we come to find that it was something. There was a dangerous situation or whatever it was. But they're so acute to it. We have those abilities as well. But a lot of times we just dismiss it. We just go, oh, it's this, that, or the other. And I've always wanted to just kind of listen a little bit more to what it is. And again, you know, my interest was started as a child. But, you know, there's certain periods of times throughout your life that it reoccurs. It comes back. Yep. You're in a different place, you know, that's unfamiliar. It comes back. One of the movie, I worked on a movie called Demon Fighter. And that was unusual. Because
I was going to ask you with Demon Fighter, but you're all like, I was going to comedy, but fire in. Carry on, buddy.
So do you know? I had the great fortune of being cast as the lead in this movie, and I play a character called Father Michael. So I play a priest that eventually exorcises demons that possess the family. So the moment that the subject matter alone, when you get so into the significance of the scenes and the what the movie's about, to me it seems like you're awakening spirits in effect. So you're almost inviting people to come along for the ride. So we're filming very intensely on some scenes where I'm doing certain prayers, and I'm doing prayers that would be appropriate for an exorcism, and then we're going through the process of going through the scenes and doing several takes, but you kind of feel that we're not alone. And I remember this very specifically. We were doing a scene at a garage of a home that we had rented, and the scene was set up for a ritualistic ceremony that was going to take place. So they're setting everything up. They have candles, and they have a pagan cross kind of outlined. And I'm getting ready to do my lines, the scene. So nobody was in the garage. So I would just kind of go in the garage, rehearse my lines, come out of the garage, go back in the garage, just to be alone and just to rehearse my lines. And then every time I went in, I felt that I wasn't alone. So I thought, oh, maybe they're still working on set. So, you know, I look around, hey guys, are you with me? Nobody answered. You know, I'm looking around, nobody's there. And I could swear somebody was there working on something. So I said, okay, maybe it's my imagination. I do it several other times, and I go back, and I notice there's a candle that's in a candle holder. And when I was going back and forth, one of the times I went back, it had fallen. I'm thinking, okay, it fell down. But I couldn't see how it would have fallen down because it was well put into this candle holder. So I'm going, that's interesting. So it fell down, and you just kind of feel that presence. So as a result, when we went through the process of filming, the movie's done, and there are you always hear of actors that they get so into the role that once the film is done, they have a difficult time getting out of that character. And I've never experienced that before until I filmed this particular movie. We were done filming. I came back home, and I was having nightmares every single night for 30 days straight, and I had no ability to change. It just every night I had a nightmare about the filming, what happened, something. It felt like it was coming to real life, the subject matter. And for lack of a better way of saying this, it haunted me. It literally haunted me for 30 nights, and I couldn't shake it. I absolutely couldn't shake it. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, all right, so this is what they're talking about when you can't shake what happened to the character. But I thought it was a little bit more than that. So it was such an unusual experience that, again, I approached it logically. I was thinking, okay, it must be because of this, this, and this, and this. It must be because you get so immersed into your character. It must be because you're living it for the period of time that you're filming, which is about 3 weeks to a month. But then there's only so much you can explain away because I felt like I was being haunted by the occurrence of the movie after the movie was already done. It was all done. It was clear, and I brought it back with me. It was just the most unusual experience I've ever had.
See, that's the thing, as you see, you had that on set, and you had it at home, and excuse me, There have been stories, like The Exorcist, Amityville Horror, Poltergeist, films like that, that say that the film was cursed, because these various things happen to, cast members during filming, after filming. And I was going to ask you about Demon Fighter, because I know Demon Fighter is, basically paranormal. And I was going to ask you, when you were filming, did anything happen? Did you feel anything? Because you were kind of, say, the lead character, you were the kind of the spiritual one in it. So you were the more connected with, the church side, the spiritual side, etc., than anybody else, probably. And I mean, it is possible. I'm only saying that there was someone, took a liking to you, or kind of followed you home and was trying to get some kind of message through to you. I've heard many a times about attachments happening to people. I've known people it's happened to. They've done an investigation, they went home, and they've just felt that there's somebody there, something's not right, and they keep having all these images in their head and what have you. And a lot of people don't believe, they don't believe the paranormal can't affect you like that, but it's actually quite, it's quite mind-blowing what it can do. I'm a kind of laid-back guy. It takes a lot, an awful lot to press my buttons, except when I'm driving. I do have a bad case of road rage, but that's totally different. But I'm quite bad.
That's great.
I do confess. But generally, it takes a lot to get me going. There was one night we were in Edinburgh. I've done Edinburgh many times. This particular night we went to Canongate Kirk. It's a graveyard down the bottom end of the road. You've got Greyfriars at the top, you Canongate at the bottom. So we went down, and just before we went in, with that feeling that we weren't wanted, excuse me 2 seconds.
Are you live yet?
We're live.
It's not showing up on the page that you're live.
We're live, That's serious behind it.
When did you go live?
9 o'clock. Sorry, folks.
No, that's okay. That's all right.
This John there, we're live. I've gone to say we're not live on Facebook, but I've got it reading up here as well. We're live. Sorry about this, John.
No, not at all. Hello.
I get my tech department in.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
You're not live on Facebook.
We're not live. I forgot. So, right, can you fix it then? Right.
There.
I don't know what's happened then.
I was sitting downstairs watching it. We're waiting to watch it and it wasn't coming up.
Well, we've been.
You were live on YouTube, clearly.
Right. I do apologise. I don't know what's I set the stream up as normal.
Did you start late?
That's okay, but that's okay.
No, we started about a minute late. That was it. So I don't know.
But it wasn't live on Facebook.
We'll get that fixed. But we're live now on Facebook as well, seemingly. So, But hello, folks. We've been on for about 20 minutes, and I wasn't aware we weren't live on Facebook. I don't know what happened. I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, as I was saying, thank you, dear.
You're welcome. Continue.
Take care.
I can carry on.
Bye.
What was I saying before I was interrupted? I don't know. I don't know why we're live on Facebook. That's embarrassing.
It's just saying sometimes kind of spirit will come with you. And yeah.
We went to this cut card, and there's Hatcher. I don't know how things have changed the last 4 years since me and Buds was in the shell here. So it's going to be about helping the living and not the deceased. Anyone else out there? There's Nikki Scott. Oh, there's Nikki from LSP. Nikki was on. The girls on last week. Sorry, Nikki. We were live at 9 o'clock. But I don't know what's happening with Facebook, though.
We're done.
But I'll get around to tell you yet. So we go to the cut card, and just as we were getting in, we got the feeling that we weren't wanted there. It wasn't demonic or anything like that. It was just, Sarah and I headed back to the car, but I went in and you know, I had a wee walk round, what have you. But when I came out, I was really, really angry for no reason. I mean, 11, 12 o'clock at night. I was really, really, I was furious, you know, but I couldn't explain it. And if someone had walked by me, I think I would have punched them in the face. I was just, you know, I was raging. And girls would say, you know, what's up? I don't know. I'm just, but we were going up to Greyfriars after, so we jumped in the car. And the further I got away from Canongate, I was fine. 10, 15 minutes later, we were in Greyfriars. I was totally fine. But it was just, you know, and I'm not saying it was paranormal, but it was just a really, really weird feeling.
Yeah, exactly.
I was furious, you know, and but then it wore off, and that was the end of it. But it's just, you were saying, you know, earlier on, you know, things happen to us in life that we can't explain, and we do. Excuse me, we do can ignore it. You know, long time ago, before mobiles came out, my first marriage, we just had landlines, and they phoned me drink, and I'd be able to tell you who was phoning. Before
Interesting.
You know,
Wow.
And I would say to her, well, you know, my wife at the time, you know, that's your mum. That's your mum on the phone. And she, oh, hello, or that's your sister. And it really kind of freaked her out. But, you know, she was saying, how do you know who's phoning? Because there was no caller ID or anything, you know, it was just a plate of normal. And so how do you know who's, I said, I don't know. I can't explain it. And this went on for some time. It went on for, and I just shrugged it aside. So you start to question yourself years later. Was that some kind of paranormal thing? Was it
exactly? You know, it's funny that you mention that, because to this day, I will have this same experience over and over again, where I'll be thinking about somebody. It's somebody from my past, you know, just a good friend or somebody that I met a long time ago. And just for whatever reason, I might not have seen them for 20, 30 years. And just all of a sudden, they just kind of pop into your mind. And, oh my goodness, I wonder how this person's doing. I haven't heard from them in a long time. I wonder how they're doing. And guaranteed within that kind of like a window of 48 hours, I will get a message from them. I will get a call from them. I will see them publicly, just out of the blue. And it happens every single time to me, very consistently, that all I have to do is just kind of think about them. And then all of a sudden they present themselves in one way or the other. And it's just one of those things where, again, and if you connect that with things that we can't explain, there's something that's there that's not tangible, but it exists. It's present, and it may not even have a name to it, but it's obviously something that lives with us, and those are hard to explain.
It is really fascinating, you know. And people say to me, well, why do you believe in the paranormal? You know, why are you so convinced? I say, well, you know, I spoke with a medium a long time ago, and she told me things that nobody else could tell me about, you know, an ex-girlfriend, about a daughter that I lost, etc. You know, very, very personal details that nobody else knew. And this woman was spot on. And the other thing, it's going to sound kind of strange, but, you know, when my dad passed away, God rest him, we'd been in the hospital all day. Long story short, we'd been in the hospital all day, and the doctors came in and says, well, away you go home, he's going to be fine, you know, come back in the morning. So I left the hospital about 11:20 that night and got home, and I just literally was crawling, getting out of my bed, and the phone went, and I knew, right, I said, that's my dad's gone, and picked up, and it was, see, your dad died, you know, I think it was 7 minutes after I left, you know. I left, say, 11:20, passed away 11:27, so I went straight back up to the hospital, and I got up there that quickly. They hadn't time to you know, fix him, basically, you know, to lay him out properly. And I was standing there just looking at him, and you could tell that he wasn't there.
Yeah.
Now, it's hard to explain. Obviously, he's not there because he's passed away. But
Exactly.
you could tell he was somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
exactly. It's it's anybody that's passed, or anybody's going through that transition of passing. That transformation of being existing in this world and then transitioning into whatever lies beyond this. Very few people, you can sense whether they're becoming vacant on the shell that we call our bodies, and it's such an unusual experience because and I'm so sorry that your father had passed. My father passed some time ago as well, so I feel you. But I've had people very close to me pass, and one of my best friends. I was 14 years old when I lost my best friend, and he tragically died in an accident. But I was called by a nurse to come say goodbye to him, essentially, and this is a difficult thing to talk about, but when I went into the room with him to say my goodbyes and to thank him for being such a wonderful friend to me, and he was not able to respond, but he had electrodes all over his body, and the way he was that I was able to know that he could hear what I was saying is that his heartbeat would either raise or lower. So when I was saying thank you for being such a wonderful friend, his heart would start beating faster, and then he just passed just shortly after that. And but again, it's one of those situations where you're thankful to have had experienced life with them, but you have this very rare opportunity to see their next transition of life, and it's such a it's just one of those situations where you can't, it's not tangible, so you can't point your finger at it, but it exists. It's there. It's a part of life.
Exactly. I'm just going to answer this comment, John. Somebody's put, where's the stream? We don't put the StreamYard link in chat, my friend. I always PM it to our guests because we've put the StreamYard link in chat a long time ago, and we've had a few unsavory characters pop up, so we do not put it in the chat. We always just PM it to our guests, etc. We done it one night, and we had a guy came on, and he popped up, but he popped up under a different name, a name that we are familiar with, and he stripped off. He was in his hallway, and he stripped off. We to end alive because he just everything came off, and so that no more. We don't put it in the chat. Energy always goes out to what we're missing and what we have lost all, and forgets to now we are living spirit. But people ask about investigations, and I think people expect you go in an investigation that paranormal activity is going to be like tables floating about or chairs, cross your head and stuff like that.
Exactly.
It can be the smallest thing. A noise, 1 foot, it can be anything. And I've said to people, the best, we don't try and convince anybody the paranormal exists. That's not why we're here. And I will say, well, if you want to get an insight, then go to an investigation. Find a genuine small team, go with them, and just see what you experience. Don't listen to what they're telling you. Just you take in what you experience. If you feel anything different, whatever, because you need that personal experience, and then you can go home and say, right, well, this happened to me. How do I explain? I can't explain it. No disrespect to teams in that, obviously. It's the same way, there's loads of people do events, but there are some teams out there that they'll do events and they try and drum it into their guests, this is real, that was a ghost, this is a spirit, that was a noise. No, let people judge for themselves.
Exactly. Now, I had a question for you, because I know the paranormal subject has exploded with a lot of the television shows with Zach and company, and do you find that there are people that are doing this purely for the attention, the exposure to them? Because like yourself and others that I've met, they sincerely want to explore. They're doing it with the best of intention, and for others to see what they are seeing themselves. And then I've seen others that have gone a different direction with this. So do you ever get accused yourself of, oh no, that's a bunch of rubbish, or this, that, you're just doing it for this other reason? Do you ever get some haters that come across it?
We do. I'll just answer this question, Joshua. Sorry, buddy, I thought you meant the link to come onto the chat. If you look at the post that I put up on Facebook, you'll see down the bottom, there'll be a link, grant StreamYard permission to use your name. I think it's blue or purple writing. If you click on that, then your name will come up in the comments. Hi, Stan, buddy. We've had our haters. You're always going to get haters, but I've had this conversation many a time. There are groups, teams out there that are just in it to make a name for themselves. And they want the TV series, they want the fame. The thoughts. There's two that immediately spring to mind in the UK. I mean, there's others, but there's two immediately pop into my head. Some of the stuff they put up is just ridiculous. I'm not going to name them live, obviously. It's something, John, you wouldn't believe. I'm not going to name them, but I think it was last year, was it early this year, there was a picture put up by one particular group. Do you remember the film The Shining? Did you ever see The Shining?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you remember the twins that were in it at the end of the corridor?
Yes.
Somebody put up a picture saying that they'd found the twins from The Shining or something like that in this hotel in the UK. But it was blurry. The outlines of these two supposed figures were blurry. So somebody took the photograph and cleaned it up, and it was two fire extinguishers.
Wow.
At the end of this corridor.
Wow.
So, I mean, this is some of the stuff they're put in. Some of the stuff that they do is quite sickening. Last year, the year before, there was a team in Britain. I think you've heard of the Moore murders. The Moors.
Yes.
Braidwood, Hinley and Braidwood.
Yes.
Well, there was a team, I'm sure it was last year. There was a big, they decided to go, and because there was one little boy who's still never been found to this day, but his family's passed away. This team said they were going to investigate the Moors and find out where this wee boy was from, where he was, buried. And there was I put quite a few comments on it, we thought it was absolutely disgusting. But they went ahead and done it, and to me, it was just totally disrespectful. And so, I mean, they're just looking for fame. So you do get people here that are out for fame. We've had people that have come as called as fake and what have you, but we just kind of brush off. You're always going to get the haters. You're always going to get something. And
no, you're right. I think but it's also if you get the haters, that's actually an indication that you're doing well at what you're doing, because you always have kind of the opposing view. And anybody that says something derogatory or hateful or whatever to somebody that's doing well, it's because they're not there. They're not at that point in their life. You know, they're not feeling good about themselves, so they project it on other people. They project it on other people, and they make it a mission to try to bring people down.
Exactly. And there's, you know, there's other groups, teams, whether you know, individuals that are obsessed with, excuse me, with numbers, with followers, with views, etc. You know, that kind of thing. And and it's not about that. I mean, we hit 1,300 members. I think it was 2 days ago, and we've been going for nearly 3 years. But last July we had to start again. We had to start from scratch because we troll trouble basically. So we shut down the public page. We went private. And so we've only really been running this page for about 10 months. So we hit the 1,300 a couple of days ago. I put a post up.
Great.
You know, I wasn't boasting or anything. I like to see the numbers going up because it gives us an indication that people like what we're doing.
Yeah.
You know, they're enjoying our content. It doesn't make us a better team than anybody else.
You're absolutely you're 100% right. You're 100% right. You know, I think it's important to be very passionate about something, and to have this platform where we can express it and show it and bring people into it, and it's a way of also establishing relationships, you know, friendships that you would have never had before unless you reached out to that community and just got, you know, that same reaction. So no, please, you know, don't. It's not. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to be popular about it. But you know, my goodness, you know, I think every endeavor that I think somebody does to do something good and to do something that draws people together, you're always going to have that opposing side, people that you know want to destroy that, for lack of a better way of saying it. And I like your attitude. You just kind of brush it. You know, okay, whatever. Everybody has their opinion, you know. And if they're truly trying to, you know, hurt you one way or the other, well, I mean, it's easy to block people. It's easy just to say goodbye, later. You know, we don't need you around anymore.
That 100%, John. And you know, you know, if you don't like what we do, then you know, there's plenty other. You know, we've had people come into the chat over some of your shows. You know, I don't like this. I don't like your attitude, whatever it is. You know what I don't like. And I say, well, you know, if you don't like what we do, no disrespect to you, there's plenty other groups there to go and watch. We just do what we do. We never ever state anything as paranormal. That's the other big issue. I think there's a lot of people, whatever, that state this is paranormal, this is an apparition, this is a spirit. You know, we don't. If we get a photograph, we'll put it up and we'll say, look, this is what we photograph we took. What do you think? You know, you get too many people there that are that's paranormal. Definitely, bang, it's for the page, and they'll start bragging, and it turns out it could be a fire extinguisher or a chimney pot or something that they're photographs. You know, they're trying to say it's something else. It's just the way the paranormal works, and see, we've had a fair share of haters, but we just kind of you know, brush it off, because I think if, you know, every time somebody kicks you in the head, you know, tries to kick you in the head, if you just sit down and say, right, I give up. There was one time a couple of years ago we thought, you know what, we're just going to scrap it. You know, it was a bad week, a couple of weeks, but then somebody says, why? You know, why is closing? Why don't give it? I was saying, no, we're not going to give up. Why should we give up? We're just going to keep going. And so we did. So, you know, people want to come and criticise us. Fair enough. That's fine. We're open to criticism, comments, whatever. But we're not going to take them personally, you know, because when you start doing that, that's time.
That's a great attitude. I really love that. That's you know, I can't tell you how many times that I've been told to quit the business, the film industry. I've been told by Hollywood producers to say, you know what, just quit. We don't want you. You're never going to go anywhere with this. we don't see you ever being successful at this. And really quick story. The person that actually told me that, some of the people that approached me with that was actually Keanu Reeves' manager. So Keanu Reeves' manager told me, why would I waste my time investing in somebody that's not going to make me any money? Why would I, so you know what, do yourself a favor, quit, go ahead and just quit. And I was going, wow, that's really very cruel to just openly just tell that to somebody. And needless to say, I did not quit. And I wouldn't say about 2 years after that, I'm working with Keanu Reeves, on Matrix 4, and it's kind of funny how things come around that way, just there's a time to listen. There's a time to just kind of say, you know what, that's not worth my time. If for myself personally, if somebody says something that can produce a better version of me, whether it be, hey, you need to work on your acting, hey, you need to work on this, hey, you need to work on that, and anything that I can do to improve my skill set, all that means is that whenever I get hired for a role, I give them a new and improved version of myself, and I'll do that for every single role. And so you always work at improving yourself, so that way that you can offer much more to somebody. But somebody just saying, oh, we just don't like you, we just don't like you, well, that doesn't help anything. And anybody that does offer a little bit of criticism, I see it as a gift. They're giving you a little bit of a gift to say, okay, I noticed something that you could improve on. Here's an area that you could improve on. And they may be right. They may be absolutely right. So that's where you have to kind of take your ego and set it to the side and say, okay, what can I do to really improve in this area? And then you address it. And so, hats off to you, and anybody that's been told to give it up, quit because of whatever reason, and you still hanging in there because it's something that you believe in, and it's something that you're very passionate about, and it's something that brings you happiness. There's no reason to quit those things.
Exactly, and I'm not a quitter or whatever. I've been Chris, as I said earlier, I'm Glaswegian, and we don't give up. We just keep going, and if people want to try and knock us down, fine, come and try and knock us down. We'll still keep going. And it's interesting what you were saying about the criticism about people saying, try doing it this way. I've had it in the paranormal as well, way back when we first started. We got investigations and we'd be asking questions, but it was one question after another, and somebody came along and says to me, you're asking too many questions. We just started out, he says, you're asking too many questions. What do you mean? He says, well, you're not asking too many questions. What you're doing is you're not giving spirit time to answer you. So I went away and I looked back and one or two of the investigation we'd done, and I'm thinking that guy's right. I'm asking questions maybe 2 or 3 seconds apart. So he says you should leave maybe a 20-second gap between questions, and it was kind of criticising, but I thought, no, this guy's right what he's saying. And so it was something that I learned, and it's not that he was saying, oh, you're bad at what you do and what have you. He just says, no, you need to slow down a wee bit.
You're right. A lot depends on your guest, because you as a host, you're controlling the pace of an interview. You're controlling the direction that it goes. You're making sure that the listeners and the viewers get the content that you want. So let's say that you have a host, or rather a guest that has 1 or 2 word answers. Oh yeah, I did that. And there's nothing more that you kind of go, okay, give me a little bit more. So as a host, you have to manage that. So it's not an easy job, by any stretch, because a lot depends on your guest.
It's we are as well as before. We've had people, guess what that, bless them, no disrespect to them, but you'll say, for instance, so you done an investigation? Yes. And did you get any activity? Yes. And you want to turn around and say to them, well, going to tell me about it, but you can't. Right. And say, so how many times a month you go investigate for? Rather than say, well, we try and get out maybe 3 or 4, and with one particular guest, and I think when we first started doing this, we wrote a list of questions. I think it was about 20 questions on a bit of paper, because we were new to interviewing and chatting and stuff, and we'd go through that. And one particular guest, we found after about 15 minutes in, we'd asked all the questions because it was one word answers. And hi, Jacqueline Doll, and I'm sitting there looking at the timer, thinking that's 16 minutes we've been on, and I've got nothing else to ask us. I was a given.
Exactly right. You have 45 minutes to fill up.
What am I going to do for the next, 3/4 of an hour?
Exactly right. Oh my God, that's right.
I was totally stuck. So I will admit, we faked a Wi-Fi problem because we did not know what to do. But that was really bad at the start. We're a lot better. But I was just stuck. It was one of the, you'd met that wall. And yes. No.
It's also, and you said, like you said, God bless, every person that's, I think, fortunate enough to be on your show. I think to be asked to be a guest is a tremendous honor, and you're asking of their time, and that's if they're able to make arrangements for that, fantastic. But it's, you have to be engaged. It's also a lot has to do with, how we go about our day, and we come across somebody that you just kind of hit it off, and you chat about how's your day going, and that leads to another conversation, and it's a good experience. It's a good experience, and then you come across somebody where it just doesn't really work out, and then you're left with okay, what do we do for the next 45 minutes?
you're left holding the baby, so to speak, and you think,
Exactly.
I mean, it's going to sound, I'm just putting Rigger, Rigger's the lead investigator with Spig team. We work right quick. We were out with him Saturday there. We were on the show last night. You're one of the best hosts out there, big dog. I had that before, had someone with him, so I ignored him from then on. I had one really boring. I was falling asleep. I knew I had a technical issue, but you do, it's. I love doing these shows, and just to put it back to where you were saying people telling you, criticising you and telling you to quit and stuff. Yeah. I get told once that I just love being on camera, for my ego. And I says, no, I don't enjoy being on camera for my ego. I enjoy doing the shows because, one, you connect with people, just what you were saying earlier on as well, about the amount of people that you meet. And the amount of people we've met since we started this is just unbelievable. And we live in a small town in the west coast of Scotland. And, people like yourself, David and Craig, we did one last week, talked about William Wallace, some of the people, these are people that, as yourself included, it's people we would never have got to speak to at all in our life, if we hadn't started doing this. But this person says, "Hi, Rosie doll, you do well, Scott. Do thanks, Jacqueline, honey. But I says this person, I says, no, I don't, I'm not on camera for my ego. I don't have an ego. You know, I'm nothing special. I'm just me. I says, I love being on camera because one, you're meeting different people, you know, and you're chatting away to them. And the second one is because you've got people who follow your group, you know, and they want to see that you're a real person. You know, they want to see you talking and you communicating with them, and rather than just putting posts up all the time, you know, and never ever doing a live or anything. So doing these is another way of saying to people, you know, like, we're here, this is what we do, these are the kind of people we talk to, you know, and that kind of thing. A wee comment for you, John, if I can get Mr. Ozuna respect to you. But you know, it's I think doing these shows, and you learn so much as well. Yeah. Doing these, you know, these shows, we've learned so much stuff that we would never ever have learned. And but when you're dealing with a guest and what have you, I like to keep it just laid back. I always tell people, you know, a lot of people say, "What's the topic?" I say, "Well, I don't have a topic. We just go on and say hi, and then just go with it." I just be honest with people, you know, and 99% of the time people say, "No, that's fine by me, buddy. You know, we'll go and say hello, and that's it."
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
I need to get you to repeat yourself. You did miss it, but you never, because we actually didn't go live in Facebook till about 9:20. We didn't realise it. Sorry, I didn't realise. I don't know what happened, but we were on YouTube for 9, Facebook for 20:00. But shh, don't tell anybody. So somebody's asked what your views are on the pack, because they obviously never heard earlier on because of my boo-boo.
No, that's well, recapping to what we talked about before. You know, it just my interest in the paranormal started at a very, very young age. You know, when I was a child, when we're children, I think we don't have those parameters around us that occur when we become adults as to kind of rules of certain things, and this is this and this is that. We're open thinkers, we're open feelers, so we allow more to draw in, and we're more receptive to things. And at a very young age, you know, there's certain things that you can't explain that are obviously something that happened, but you can't put any sort of rational explanation to. And during the course of our life, you know, we certainly have experienced certain what we call paranormal / supernatural / a part of life experiences that it's hard to come up with an exact reason why they occurred, or what it is, or what it's about. And I've always been kind of a very open thinker. So because my parents raised me that way, I mean, they raised me to be a person that it's open to all philosophies, to all beliefs, to all things, and not just be so structured, you know, and rigid. So, but yeah, you know, I think, you know, we had talked about my experience with Demon Fighter. You know, with Demon Fighter, you know, it was just the subject matter was of the paranormal, and when you're filming for 3 weeks, you know, that particular film kind of haunted me. So once we're done with production, you know, again, I had nightmares the 30 nights in a row that I had no control over, but it was something that happened, and I felt like I brought something with me. So it's very interesting. I've always been very interested in the subject.
That's another question for you, John. Mr. Ozuna, believe after you die. Sorry, getting straight to the point. LL from Kate. Huge respect to you.
Yeah.
Would you?
I've been so fortunate that my parents really. I grew up Catholic. That was my upbringing. But my father had a library of every conceivable theological book. So Christianity, Catholicism, Hinduism, Judaism, Buddhism. He explored the spectrum of people's faiths. So therefore, he allowed me the opportunity to just be very open to all. Now, I do believe that there's something beyond this life, absolutely, because I feel that this and what occurs after is a part of the grand scheme of life that we call life, and it's almost like to pass on and die is almost like being reborn into the next phase of life, and that's always been kind of my philosophy, my belief, that for us to say, okay, it's just here and that's it, and there's nothing more and it's gone, I think is only looking at things just on the surface level. There's more. There's so much more, I believe, to life in general than just what we see on the surface.
I think we're, I mean, this is just my opinion, and I think we're just kind of scratching the surface.
Mm.
You know, I think there is so much more to it. So your dad sounds awesome. That's so amazing. He studied all that, finding out all he could and making deductions almost for reincarnation is a strong point. Well, so what would just comment there? What about reincarnation? I mean, yeah, there's so many documented stories out there about people, especially children, that they'll go into maybe, you know, a family member's house and they'll see a photograph and, you know, they'll remember things, you know, they'll remember, I met that lady, you know, when I was a soldier and stuff like that, or they'll go to a place. I've done it myself. I've been to places. I've always had a strong pull towards Greyfriars. I can't explain it. It's just a place I've always had. Every time I'm in Edinburgh, I have to go to Greyfriars, even if it's for 10 minutes. I need to just read quick, you know, wander about. So you hear that, you know, that many stories about reincarnation and people recognising places. And what about you? What's your views on it?
Yeah, reincarnation, that's something very specific. Yeah, you know, it's so unique because depending on somebody's belief system, you know, and it's, you know, is referred to as circle of life, that things come back around again. You know, I think there's some strong examples of that being a possibility, but also there's strong and occurrences that may counter that. So for me, again, I'm very, very neutral when it comes to those, because I've seen examples of one and I've seen examples of another. You know, there's a certainty in all of us that will eventually experience the same thing. We're all going to eventually pass on to a new meaning of life beyond this life. So we're all going to experience that. But we have yet to truly understand what it is. So we're left with our personal beliefs. We're left with what we trust in our faith. We're left with things that bring us some comfort, and that's a good thing. That's a very, very good thing. So anything that can bring us a degree of comfort and that's something that brings meaning to us, that would be the right answer for that individual.
Yeah, 100%. I had this conversation a couple of weeks ago with somebody, and they were saying about, you know, what happens when you die. And so, well, you know, who knows? You know, we do move on to something else, but what that something else is, nobody can answer until we get there.
Exactly.
And you know, this person was saying, so and so believes that and believes that, and it's just nuts. I said, well, no, wait a minute. It's not nut. It might seem nuts to you, but it makes sense to them. And you know, if they're happy thinking that way, if it I did say if it gives them comfort or, you know, makes their life a little bit better or whatever, whether they're dealing with the loss of a loved one or whatever, if that belief helps them, get through that, then fair play to them. You know,
Yeah.
don't knock them down, because no doubt, you know, you might have something, you might believe in something that the guy next door thinks, well, he's crazy. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
it's an individual choice, you know, and if it helps you, then
Yeah.
fine, that's what you believe. And there's that many religions, beliefs, theories, you know yourself, John, it's countless, dozens and dozens and dozens. And what is the answer? That's, you know, we don't have the answer.
Exactly. And to your point, the answer is it's left up to the individual. So if that individual feels strongly about a certain faith or a certain belief system, then that is the right answer for them. That's the right answer. And if that brings them happiness and comfort and a feeling of completeness, by George, you know what? Congratulations to you. That's great. That's a good thing. You know, and I've had the great liberty of traveling just all over the world, you know, through both filming and competitive fighting. And, you know, it's one of the what has happened in my life is to live in the shoes of other people in their culture, in their land, and you know, and be a part of that. So, you know, my summary of this, my evaluation is that we're all the same. Oh my goodness, we're all the same, but it's the differences in language and culture and food and things of that sort that makes us unique, and we share in that. You know, I mean, because we love Indian food, we love, you know, Asian food, we love da 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 da. You know, and so when we do that, when we eat those meals, we're participating in somebody else's culture. We're having, figuratively, literally, a taste of their culture, and I love that.
That's very true. You know, I'm quite partial to you know, an Indian chicken curry. You know, so you got a naan bread on the side. You know, I put it. No, you know, I totally understand. I do totally agree with you. And so I mean, I like pizza with curry sauce. Dip your pizza in the curry sauce.
Exactly.
You know, so two cultures, Italian and Indian, basically. And some people say that's disgusting, pizza and curry sausage.
I think it's great.
Try it. You know, it's amazing. Somebody saying, does Mr. Ozuna have his own podcast? He really should. If not,
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Is that something you would look into? Is that something you would consider doing your own kind of show?
It depends. You know, I've had the good fortune of being so busy with my film work that my full concentration has to be on that and other projects that I have. You know, I have to admit, it takes me longer than your average actor, that I feel, my own self-evaluation, to really invest myself into the character, do all the logistical things that I need to do in order to really immerse myself into the role. There's so many talented people that I've worked with that to them it's like breathing. You know, like oh yeah, I just do this and this and this and that and the other. You know, just no problem. And for me, I literally have to do it a little bit more step by step by step. I have to be very methodical about it, and it just takes me personally a little bit longer than most people do. But but then I do. Once I get very invested into a character, I'm all in. I'm on board. I become that person, you know, for the time that I'm hired to do so. So, but But yeah, I would love to do that. I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I'm really focused on the right now.
There was a curry sauce, and Italian just cried it. It's amazing. I think it's really, you can't beat it.
It's molto bene, molto bene.
How did you say that? Molto what? Bene?
Yeah, molto bene. It means in Italian. It means very good. It's very good.
Molto bene. I'm going to say that.
Molto bene.
I'm going to steal that. I steal Italian. Listen, but no, see, doing the podcast is. I really do enjoy doing them, and it's a way of just sitting down with all different kind of people, hearing their views, having a laugh. I mean, some of your shows, we had a paranormal and history channel, but some of your shows will talk paranormal for like 5 minutes, and then away off in traveling tips or sweets, cooking or whatever. But it's a good way. We do take it serious, obviously, 100%. But it's a good way of just, how can you put it, just feeling, well, we are normal. Well, some people say we're normal, It's just a good way of just relaxing and chilling out and breaking it up. Breaking life up a wee bit, especially for people that are watching you. Because I have watched some channels, and I've said it many times, you want to go to your own funeral watching them. You really do. You just want somebody to come along with box and bury you, and no disrespect to them. It's their thing. They love doing it. But it's the same thing over and over and over. It's Tuesday night, it's tarot night, so we'll dish out the cards and see what happens.
Exactly.
And you're sitting there numb. You'd rather watch, a soap opera or something. They've got the soap opera on the side, watching that, eating pizza and curry sauce. But, but you need to, we just like to try and mix it up. Nobody anything special, nothing like that. Just try and be different a wee bit. And that's I like a variety of guests. Instead of just one line of guests. You need all different kind of people, and we've been very, very fortunate. And every guest we've had, apart from the one that was no disrespect. It's been fantastic, and we get a lot of repeat guests, and we love it because you do, as you were saying earlier on, you build up a relationship. I mean, you're on the other side of the pond, you're 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 miles away or something, but you build up that relationship. I've seen this at Craig and David as well. You build up a bond and you become like old friends.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely 100% right. And that's the beauty of what you do. You open up the gates of potential friendships and relationships and commonality. You're providing an opportunity for people just to come together, and exchange ideas and have questions. Your viewers have some fantastic questions. They're all great. They're all great people.
The Fighting Files, Mr. Ozuna on his life, definitely podcast potential there or YouTube channel. The most punches in 60 seconds.
Exactly. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Humble and kind man. But that comment's spot on. It is spot on. And we've found that again with many, many, many people who, it says we're boasting. It's not boasting, but they're like big names, like Patty Negri, stuff like that. And you think, oh no, Patty Negri, she's kind of major news. But she comes on and she's really down to earth. Yourself, Craig, David, big in the film industry and whatever. And we've sat and chat, walk away, and they're just normal people.
Exactly. No, you're right. It's I think for myself, it's a very unusual industry that I'm in. You know, when anybody goes through the process of trying to become an actor or a model or things of that sort, you're opening the floodgates of criticism, and especially somebody who has a podcast, you're opening the floodgates of people targeting you and characteristics of yourself, and they tear you apart, you know, and they start saying this and that about the way you look, and this and that about the way you speak, and this and that about the way you perform, and again, you know, for me, it's a hard venture for anybody to subject themselves to such harsh criticism. But if you can whittle the outright outrageous things that they say, and if you can pinpoint the things that truly matter, and say, okay, yeah, I do need to work on the acting. Yes, I do need to work on my physical appearance. Yes, I do need to work on my voice. I need to work on, you know, certain things. And these are things I can work on to get better at my participation in this. Then that's because essentially it's no different than any job. You're really essentially being hired for a very specific part of a project. So we're going to hire you. It's just like you're building a home. Okay, we need people that can lay a frame. We need people that can go ahead and build the walls. We need people that can set the electricity, HVAC, the da 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 da. And they have these specialized individuals, and the actors no different. So they are hiring you for a very specific thing, and they want to get the best out of you, and that's what we try to do, hopefully.
Well, you've not let us down so far. I'm happy to say.
It's tough. It really is, because
It's quite a hostile environment in Hollywood. I mean, you hear all the stories about Hollywood. I'm a big film buff, you know. I love my films and stuff,
Yeah.
and you hear, you know, a lot. Just when you say about Keanu Reeves, Keanu Reeves seems to pop up on TikTok that he's a very humble guy, and I've seen photographs and video of him on, you know, the tube or whatever it is you call it over there,
yeah,
the chains, and he's just sitting there reading a paper or something. And the guy's a major star. You know, he's done Lord knows how many blockbuster films, made so many millions, etc. And he's sitting in a train reading a newspaper next to a guy who's maybe going to work in a, I don't know, you know, a construction site or something. You know, and there was one thing I saw, somebody reversed into his motorbike.
Yeah.
I think. And he came out and just looked at it, picked up, and no problem. And he just drove away.
Yeah,
you know,
Keanu Reeves, I had the great fortune to work with him for, my goodness, I want to say like 12 days on Matrix 4. And he is everything that we hear about him. He's the nicest guy. He is very cordial and respectful to everybody. Everybody is there. I remember the first day one of filming Matrix 4, you know, I was one of the actors in the scene, and he came in on set, and he said hello to each and every person. There weren't very many actors. There were just like 3 or 4 of us. But he made a point of saying, hello, this is who I am. Thank you for being here. You know, you're going to help to make this scene a great scene. Very encouraging. You know, anybody that wanted to come off the street and take a picture with them or get an autograph, no problem. He had no problem with that. And you get others that take the other side of this, and they allow their ego to get the best of them, and you know, they refuse to do, you know, selfies or autographs, and they say, you know, get away from me. So I've seen both sides, and you know, it's for myself personally, I think anybody that says, hey, you know, I've seen this and this and this and this film that you did, and we really enjoyed it, my response to them is thank you. Thank you for taking 90 minutes out of your day. Thank you for taking, you know, a couple hours out of the day to see this. I appreciate that, because there's no greater gift that you can give somebody is of your personal time. So the fact that they took time out of their day to even watch it, I mean, I'm just so appreciative that they did that.
He's so pure. As even you, he's so pure and adorable. I don't know who that is. I didn't know who's asking that. It's his Facebook user, but thanks for the question. Yeah,
He's a great guy, but just like we're all human too. We're all human, so he gets frustrated too, But a lot of it is with himself. So, I've been on set where he got frustrated with a dialogue he was doing that just didn't come out as smooth as he wanted, and you could tell that he was like, he was getting frustrated, but it was with him. He wasn't like pointing fingers at anybody else. So you got to respect that.
I've had many a time where I've done that. I used to drive trucks for a living. You call them rigs, we call them Arctics over here, and there was places. So I done a lot of work in London. I used to deliver a lot in London, and some of the streets in London are like that,
Yes.
And the corners are right corners, and you're trying to reverse a trailer, round a narrow street in a corner, and you'd be back and forward, and you'd end up shouting at yourself, you'd be so, and people would be looking at you, looking inside the cab, looking at you, giving yourself into trouble, and, so I totally get that. You get frustrated, and you're like, come on, you can do this. Stop being an idiot. Just constantly,
absolutely.
As the greatest gift, it's always Kate, Facebook user. Right.
Absolutely. Yes.
Hi, Dobby Doll. But I says this to David and Craig. I think it was last week, 2 weeks ago. We covered William Wallace. I came back on in August for another part of Wallace, and the whole CRA team, as I call them, Craig, David, Shane, yourself. I was talking to Gene the other day as well, Gene Young. They're all just so down to earth.
Oh my goodness, yeah. It's just it's one of those things where like life kind of humbles us, and I know for myself personally, before I really had the momentum that I have right now in terms of film work, life already got me. So life has already humbled me, leading up to this point where everything that you do, you want to do it the best that you can, but at least for myself, I assume the responsibility to making sure that I have everything within my capability checked off the list, so that I can provide whatever project the best I can provide it. And if it's not working out well, then it's me. I've got to assume that responsibility. I can't point the finger, and I won't point fingers at people and say, well, it's because you and you, because why weren't you there, and you I'm not going to do that. I will just promise myself that I'll always make it better than the time around.
You got to take a step back and think, right, what am I doing wrong here? How can I improve? How can I get this? How can I nail this one? And sometimes it can be kind of pressurizing. We were in that kind of position before. We've been trying to do a project or something, and it's not quite, coming together and what have you. We think, right, how can we tweak this? And so you need to take that step back and think, right, let's look at the big picture here and where we're going wrong. Another question for you, but does Mr Ozuna speak to Scots often? He's doing an amazing job with your lovely accent. My boring English accent, people don't always understand me this side of the pond.
I think, well, I have the great fortune of, I guess this is it. This is how I feel. I think if you take the time to listen to anybody, just take the time to listen, English, you have to please excuse my English, because English is actually my second language. Spanish is my first language. English is my second language, and then have gone on to learn like Mandarin Chinese. I do know a little bit of Italian. I know a little bit of Portuguese. I know a little bit of German. So I've dabbled here and there. But all you have to do is just take the time to listen, because you speak wonderfully. My goodness, I'm a little bit embarrassed of my English sometimes.
No, thank you very much. But I know a lot of people have trouble understanding me, because Glaswegians have a habit of the more we talk, the faster we get, and we don't actually realize we're doing it. Just a quick funny story. I've got a friend stays in London. I grew up with him. I've known him for many years. He's been in London for 35 years. So I used to go up and down, visit. One time I was down and met his girlfriend, lovely lady from Dorset, which is just to the west of London. Yeah. And the first time I'd ever met her, I've been down the Monday, met her, this is Julie, so how you doing? And spent the day and the night together, out doing stuff. And then the Tuesday we were out, and I noticed that Julie kept saying, just agreeing with me, everything I said. So Brian was up at the bar, and I went up and says to her, I says, is Julie okay? He says, what do you mean? I says, well, she keeps agreeing with me. She just says, she's nodding or saying, yeah. She says, well, she's no understood a word you've said since you came with her. I was like, what?
Yeah.
She can't understand it. So I was trying not to laugh, that situation. So I went over and I says to her, listen, Julie, if you don't know what I'm saying, just tell me. Just say, just go something. But the poor lassie had been sitting there for a day and a half, whatever. But once we got that kind of hurdle out of the way, I tried to slow down as much as possible, that's because you should never know your second language. Partly one, Italian, and fantastic. I'm even going to try.
Grazie. Mille grazie. That's very nice.
Fantastic. Si molto I'm going to try it and say it.
Yeah, molto intelligente. Grazie. Yeah, that is very nice. He very nice, kind words.
Thank you for those.
Scott, my friend, I'm going to have to get going. I apologize.
I was going to wind up. We've ran over our time anyway, but I will get you back for a part two because there's loads more to talk to you about, buddy. But I'll just hold on for 2 seconds after I come off, if that's all right. So, Mr John Ozuna, look him up. CRA Father Michael in the film Demon Fighter, The Matrix, Venom, loads more. Just Google the guy and you'll find him. So apologies for the start of the live. I don't know what happened, but I'm sure we'll be able to work it out. And that we're going to wind up there, folks. And we're on tomorrow night with the Ghost Biker, Miranda Young. She co-owns the Scotch County Historical Jail. So we're on with her at 9 o'clock. So I'll show off now with John because he's a busy man. And I'll talk to you tomorrow night. If he's only busy, come along and join us. Thanks very much, John. Thanks very much, everybody. Take care. Bye. Bye.